Good morning, goddammit, piss and vinegar day. I don't know. Anyway, chest and triceps. Today felt alright, actually. I'm getting there slowly. The left arm's getting there. I think I'm maybe a month off if I really have to guess. I know I'm fucking always having these wild guesses at how quick I'm going to recover. I'm always off, but I'm really hoping for a month. Anyway, I want to talk about erring on the side of more protein than less protein today. So, at the end of the day, I think a lot of protein shit is like up in the air. A lot of the data we see on protein, and you're going to call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think a lot of it, we don't really fucking know what's going on because, for one, it's a bunch of other companies, a bunch of big boy Amazon type fucking sugar companies would want you to eat less protein, right? But then on the total flip side, bodybuilding companies that are huge or bodybuilding supplement companies that are huge want you to eat more protein because it means you buy protein powder. So I don't know. I don't always totally trust studies because I don't know who the fuck's funding them. You know what I mean? And that's that has been proven in the past where studies have been fucking tampered with because of big boy motherfuckers with money. So, but what I would say of protein is you're better off doing too much than too little because it's undeniable that you need protein for hypertrophy or protein synthesis or meaningful protein synthesis, right? Or any excessive muscle damage you've created from training. And you need it also for organs and skin and nails and connective tissues and fucking everything in your body. Every cell in your body needs protein. But, there's no fucking but. You're better off doing too much than too little. Because if you do too little, well, now you don't get as many gains. So the general consensus is 1 gram per pound of body weight, right? So you should probably aim for that. But I'd say go for even more than that because at the end of the day, you want to reach for the stars and land on the moon, right? Because a lot of times, if you just go about it willy nilly and you're not tracking your calories, then you're not going to know exactly how many how many grams of protein throughout the day you've gotten. You'll have a general idea, but a lot of times I find people thinking they've eaten a shit ton of protein, when in reality they've eaten way less than they thought they were eating. And same with calories. People think they're in a massive surplus or a massive deficit when they're in the total polar opposites of what they think they're doing. So, protein, you're probably better off just really trying to bang it down as much as you can. And there's a whole host of other benefits to eating protein I'm going to go over in this video, but that would be the number one. Is just simple fact that you need it for hypertrophy, and thus try to overdo it and then let everything fall else in place. And if you overdo it, you might not even overdo it. You might actually just land on that 1 gram per pound of body weight unless you're tracking your calories or your macros. And the thing is, you're probably not going to die from fucking too much protein. You know what I mean? Like if you're going way overboard, like fucking 3 grams per pound of body weight or whatever, yeah, maybe your kidneys aren't going to be happy with that. But for the most part, going 20, 30 grams over your 1 gram per pound of body weight isn't going to fucking kill you. And in some cases, it might actually be better because everyone is a little different, right? Everyone does, work better on certain programming or certain nutrition or a whole host of different things. So for one person at a certain body weight or certain age or certain genetics might need more or less protein than the next person. So you're better off, again, overshooting it. But I mean, like if you want to look at it from just like a really anecdotal, esoteric perspective, all the biggest, strongest fucking humans of all time have all eaten a shit ton of protein throughout history. I mean, if you look at like the Scythians that were like 6'6" fucking space marine monster motherfuckers, they're all eating like just straight protein. They're all eating fucking mammoth meat and shit, right? So there's probably something to that, just from a totally non-scientific perspective. All the carnivores look healthy as shit. When you look at carnivores, like dudes that just only eat meat, for the most part, they look great, right? Because they're not fucking like giving themselves like advanced N-glycation fucking products and shit by mixing their carbohydrates together. They're getting sufficient protein always because that's all they're fucking eating. They're getting sufficient fats because all they're eating is protein. And anytime you eat protein-rich foods, you're probably getting a decent amount of fat, especially if you're eating red meats. Red meats have way more micronutrients than any other form of meat, or well, not more than fish because fish has omegas. But I digress. Red meat has more micronutrients than the chicken. It also has a little bit more fat on average, and thus you get more fats, and fats are required for hormone health and joint function, etc. So they all look good, those fucking carnivores. They look healthy as shit, and they don't get injured anywhere as much, which is, I think, an advanced glycation thing. But anyway, I digress again. Another thing is food labels are inaccurate, right? So anytime you look at a food label, maybe not so much a steak. Steak's pretty easy to ascertain protein levels, but Have you ever cooked ground beef or mince and looked at it and it was supposed to be really lean, but then you put it in the pan, it gets all fatty? It's like, well, this shit wasn't exactly minced up at the same fat content as the last mince I ate the other day, right? Because they're not always going to be the exact same protein to fat ratio because it's not a steak, it's a mince, so it's like different meat. It's just a bunch of meat fucking minced up. It's going to have different fat content, so it's approximated, but it's not exact. So food labels, especially if you're eating processed foods that have protein in them, they're going to be way fucking off. So then what you've calculated to be 1 gram per pound of body weight ends up being fucking way off, right? So that's another thing. Food labels are inaccurate, so you want to overshoot for that. And then also, getting protein is just the most important thing for hypertrophy. Like, obviously, you need carbohydrates for insulin, and that's anabolic within itself. You need fats for the hormone and joint function, all those things that have cascading effects on your, hypertrophy. But the thing is, fats, again, is going to be sufficient if you're eating a fuck ton of protein for the most part, unless all you're eating is chicken breast like a fucking chud cell. But at the end of the day, just get your fucking protein in and then let the carbs fall in place. And if you're in like a calorie deficit, well, you're going to be carb depleted anyway. And if you're in a surplus, then the rest of those calories that you are now allocated from getting the sufficient protein will be plenty of carbohydrates because you're in a surplus. I mean, the only caveat to that is if you're mad calculating your calories, then sure. If you're absolutely stringent with counting your calories and macros, then yeah, no worries. And I would probably advise that if you're in a cut. Because if you're in a cut, you don't want to overdo your protein and then sacrifice all your carbohydrates. Because you want some carbs in a cut to maintain some semblance of sarcoplasmic size and a pump and, just energy in general. And the insulin that gives, sort of a form of anabolism. But if you're in a bulk or a maintenance or not in a really brutal cut, then just overdo your protein and let the rest fall into place as far as, carbohydrates go. Especially if you're eating eggs, you're going to be getting sufficient fats plenty from red meat and eggs. So, just overdo your protein and you'll be golden. There'll be no gray area. You'll know exactly that you're getting plenty of protein. So long as you've calculated how much, protein you've had a few times, just so you have an idea of how many grams of protein you're generally getting throughout the day. Because if you've never calculated your protein ever, you'll have no fucking idea how much protein is in your shit. So get an idea of what you're doing and then overdo that on a daily basis. Because the amount of days I go through, or the amount of days I've gone through where I'll be like, fuck man, I probably didn't get enough protein there. Like, especially if you're eating out. If you eat out, man, you're not getting protein. Like most foods when you're eating out, one, you can't calculate them. We're very inaccurately calculate them. And two, most foods that you eat out are fucking carbohydrate, fat-dense foods because that's what tastes the best, right? So when you're out, well, you're not going to get protein, so you're going to have to overshoot when you get home and eat a fuck ton of steak and chicken and shit like that. But also, eating way more protein will stop you eating from, eating useless garbage. And if you're in a weight cut, well, it's thermogenic or thermogenic rather. So it heats you up and it's more satiating in general. And red meat has more micronutrients than any other food on the planet. And when you're in a deficit, you need more micronutrients. Otherwise, you'll start fucking craving shit like omegas, and you'll want to eat pizza, or you'll want, fucking salty chips because you're mineral deficient or whatever. So you'll get more micronutrients from your protein-rich foods, and it will stop you from eating useless garbage that doesn't acquire fucking muscle mass, like donuts or fucking whatever. You know what I mean? Like when you're filling yourself up with meat and you're eating like a fucking man, not like a fucking pussy. You're not going to want to eat cake and fucking donuts and bullshit. You're going to be eating man food, fucking steak. And you can't tell me that Sam Sulek eating fucking, I don't know, fucking stupid fucking Starbucks fucking food, or whatever the fuck those fuckers eat, right? Those big steroid motherfuckers eat. You can't tell me that those guys or some vegan who doesn't get sufficient protein is huge, bro. So I don't need that much protein. Yeah, but they're fucking anabolics, bro. You don't need as much protein when you're anabolics because the amount of protein synthesis that you produce is fucking vastly higher. And then on top of that, because you're anabolics, you can eat more. And when you eat far more calories, you're more likely to get sufficient protein. So anyway, eat more protein than you think you should, and you'll be right. Peace out, bye.